Hello and good evening to everyone. Welcome to our very important voter protection call for the Commonwealth of Virginia. As you all are entering, please put your name, unit, community that you live in the chat so we know who all is joining us from across the Commonwealth. We're going to get started this evening at about 7:03 p.m. We have a great presentation, and we know that at the end of this, you will be prepared to support the members of your community. So again, as you are entering, please put your name, your unit, the organization you may represent, communities that you live in, so we know who all is joining us this evening. We're also going to ask if you have questions tonight, please use the Q&A. That makes it much easier for us to monitor, but please use the Q&A function for questions. We're going to get to as many of those tonight as possible. Again, welcome to everyone. We are recording tonight's election protection call, so do not worry. You will get a copy of this tomorrow, as well as we'll share whatever resources and other information that you will need at the conclusion of this call. So we are recording, and we're going to start this evening at just about 7:03 to allow for maximum attendance. So welcome to everyone. We have so many people joining us from all across the Commonwealth. Y'all make me excited that you want to be here and learn all the ins and outs about election protection. We have a great presentation planned. Again, please put in the chat your name, unit, community, so we know who all is joining us this evening. We also encourage you, if you have questions, please use the Q&A function. That will help us to monitor and answer as many questions as we are able to this evening. It is located hopefully at the bottom of your screen. If you click that, we will answer those questions either in real time, we will type answers, or we will answer those out loud. So again, welcome to everyone. All right, everyone, the time is now, as promised, 7:03 p.m., and I am excited now to introduce you all to the president of the NAACP Virginia State Conference, Reverend Cozy Bailey.
Thank you so much, Karen, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to this important session tonight. You know, as we are now 9 days before the presidential election and re-election of congressmen all over the country, we still, even 1 century after changes were supposed to be made, the right to vote is still under siege, especially for people of minorities and Black people specifically. Efforts to suppress our vote is ramping up everywhere. We, the NAACP, focus constantly on voter registration, voter education, and voter mobilization. But because of these constant threats to our ability to vote, tonight we're going to focus on voter protection. We're going to give you some information about how you should be diligent, give you some thoughts and ideas about how to combat the efforts of suppression that many of us, unfortunately, will encounter. And we will also talk about reporting to make sure that we capture what has occurred so that we can continue to battle it in the days going forward. So thank you all for your interest. Thank you for coming here on a Sunday evening and joining us. And I ask that you pay specific and close attention to the information that is provided, because it is critical for us to protect our vote. I listened to some of the elected officials, and you have heard them also, where they say this is the most consequential election of our generation. Freedom fighters, every election is consequential. Every election is critical, including this one that's coming up in 9 days. So again, let's pay specific and close attention so that we protect our right and we protect the rights of those that we advocate for. Thank you all very much, and God bless.
Thank you,
Great.
Reverend Bailey. And now I'm excited to introduce to you all the chair of our Political Action Committee, Ms. Gayleen Kanoyton.
Great. Thank you, Karen. And good evening, everyone. As President Bailey said, that this is a very, very important Zoom. This is an important election as all elections, but this election right now is really important. We're getting many calls. We're getting calls from people from members who don't exactly know how to report an incident if there's something that's happening at the early vote polls. So we and don't exactly know how to use the portal. And so we've had several Zooms and we sent it out, but we felt it was important that we come together now and go over this information again. We've already seen some things. I mean, we're seeing where people go to vote, and when they go online to check their vote, some of their information is totally gone, even their names. And then when it's reported, then all of a sudden it was a glitch. I think last week it was a glitch in the system. Then all the information came back. We're seeing things that people being turned away from the polls if they asked for an absentee ballot and decided they wanted to vote in person. They're telling them that they have to use it. They have to go back and get their absentee ballot and bring it back with them. They should bring it with them, but that they shouldn't be turned away from the polls. They still should be able to vote. And so we want to go over these incidents, and we're fortunate to have Stephanie Owens with our National Voter Protection Program from NAACP, and she's going to go over them and be able to answer some of these questions. I know I have some questions as well. I know that Stephanie, before we bring you on, I already know that we have certain localities where they're registrars, or they're saying they're not going to certify this election, and we have to know about this ahead of time. If you're hearing about that in your locality, that this election may not be certified on November 5th or whatever day it's supposed to be, or not at all, and it's going to be issues, we need to know the issues ahead of time, because if we know the issues ahead of time, then that's something we can look forward to leading up to election day and handle it in a manner that we can. So I'm fortunate to say that we have Stephanie Owens, who's our guru of voter protection grassroots. And welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to share a little bit of information with you this evening, but I want to spend a lot more time listening and fielding conversation and questions than I actually do giving you a presentation. So give me just a moment, and I am going to get my screen together, and then I will begin to share. So thank you, President Bailey. Thank you, Chair Canoington. I want to first start, and Leader Jones, thank you so much. I want to start by saying, yes, there are 9 days until we actually vote on election day. But I want to refocus your attention to the 51 days ahead of us to actually certify this election. And that's extraordinarily important because part of what I'm going to talk about this evening are the things that are related to the casting of your ballot and the counting of your ballot that actually takes place after November 5th, and why there are some very important steps that you need to take to ensure that your ballot is counted. And if by chance you've had a problem with your ballot and it needs curing, or you voted provisionally, that you have let someone know that you are going on the record to say that you were impacted by what happened, so that if there's any reason that this becomes a legal issue, we know who you are, exactly what happened, where it happened, and those specifics, because those are the kinds of details that will be important as we move forward with any kind of advocacy or any kind of legal action. So there's just a couple of things I want to talk through today, and then I want us to have some open dialogue. The first one is you are fortunate to have same-day registration in Virginia. Verify your registration today. If you have not voted, if you know someone who hasn't voted, make sure that they verify and that they register and that they vote. And it seems intuitive to actually ask someone to vote. But here's the situation. There are a variety of things that are happening at polling locations because, one, we have fewer trained poll workers than we've had in the past. Two, we have known people who are working in polling locations who would prefer that things not go as smoothly as they could go. And so because of that, sometimes people who are eligible to vote a regular ballot are actually being turned away. So please don't repeat after me, because I know y'all all been to church today, so you've been repeating after a lot of people all day long, but put this in the chat. I will vote no matter what. I will tell my friends and family to vote no matter what. We will not be turned away from the ballot box. We are entitled under law after that debacle in 2000 through the Help America Votes Act to have provisional ballots. So that is a fail-safe mechanism for whatever issues, complications, even shenanigans that may be happening at a poll that allows a person to cast their ballot. Those ballots have to be rectified, but at least you're going on record having said, I was there, I should have been able to vote, and I've cast a provisional ballot. So that's number one. Number two, I believe it was Friday, the court has ordered Virginia to cease those erroneous purges. So you now have some people who have already voted, who were purged and should have been allowed to vote. So one of the things I want you to think about as a conference is how our national office can help you communicate with voters who may have voted provisionally and had every right to vote a regular ballot. But moving forward, anyone who votes a provisional ballot, especially if they were purged, I want to show you how to use the NAACP voter incident report form, especially for members. Because again, this goes back to being able to show that our members were harmed in this process. Not that we can't and don't represent everyone in situations like these, but we have a much stronger standing when we are representing our members. So we want you to give that information to us. You can also always share that with our partners at 866 Our Vote. Third thing, many people received information that said that they were inactive. And there's been a lot of mis and disinformation regarding an inactive voter. Inactive means just that. Just means you hadn't done it for a minute. Which also means once you do it, once you vote, you are automatically activated. So if you are in an inactive status, that does not mean that you have been purged from the rolls. It simply means that you need to vote to change your registration status from inactive to active. Sometimes they've sent you notifications and you didn't respond. So you might have even transferred your registration to another city or county within the Commonwealth. These are all things that are fixable when you go to cast your ballot. Inactive does not mean purged. Once you vote, you are then an active voter. You have another issue that's happening in Virginia with voters who didn't indicate their citizenship on their DMV. So they may have gotten a license at some point in time in their journey to citizenship, but then afterwards became a citizen. And so their license indicates that they're not a citizen, even though they actually are. Voters who became citizens since visiting the DMV or actually just made a clerical error can still vote. Again, it's advised to check your status. Make sure that you are providing that information to the registrar when you're voting. But if you don't have that documentation with you, vote provisionally and then make sure that you follow up. There are some challenges around returning citizens who are seeking to vote. There is an organization that's working specifically with returning citizens in the Commonwealth. And I've provided a number where you can reach out to that organization directly. You can also reach out to NAACP. You can also reach out to 866 Our Vote. But this particular organization works directly with returning citizens. I talked a lot about the kinds of things that might happen to cause you to vote a provisional ballot, or there may have actually just been some challenges with the way that you completed your mail ballot. You have the opportunity for missing signatures, for example, until noon, the third day after the election, to correct or cure that ballot. Virginia typically, because they are required to, notify you that something has happened with your ballot that you need to cure. You also have the opportunity to track your ballot to see if you are in a particular status that asks that you make corrections to your ballot. Again, usually it's a missing signature, you can sign an affidavit rather than submitting a new ballot. For other issues, voters may need to appear in person at their local elections office with a photo identification. So
Excuse me 1 second, Stephanie. So your slides aren't moving. So we don't get to see your second slide. I'm sorry.
it doesn't have, I'm not talking about it. You don't see a slide with several points on them?
No, ma'am.
What?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go back. You see the cover slide,
Yeah, we just see the cover slide right now.
And
but
that's how
now
we
you
see the
don't see
cover
the second
slide.
slide
No,
No.
ma'am.
and not the third slide?
No, ma'am.
We see it off to the left, but not on the main screen.
Yeah. If you'd like, Stephanie, I can share and move the slides for
You know
you.
what? I'm so glad that you interrupted me. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna let you share.
Okay. Thanks. All right. I had it up.
But I will continue as we're moving the information and Leader Jones, thank you so much for making this clarification. So now we can all see the information of the points that I was going through. So I appreciate that. And I will go back to specifically highlight that phone number for the returning citizens who may be seeking assistance with voting. The next point I wanted to make is specific to curing ballots and the amount of time that you have to cure your ballot after the election. And then the last point is something very new to our national office. We are now seeking volunteers to monitor the canvassing board. The level of voter suppression has moved in a very organized and systemic fashion, as you have all seen. And so it is less about whether or not people are electioneering within certain boundaries. And while we do anticipate that there will be some intimidation, it's less about direct intimidation and more about intimidation that happens inside the polls because the voter is being challenged, or because when the election judges decide to actually canvass the ballot. So they're looking at this new information that a new citizen has now brought to the elections office to prove that they should have been able to vote a regular ballot. Are they being equitable in the way that they apply those guidelines to all of those ballots that they're canvassing? So we have a program where we are training observers to take a look at the canvassing process and simply report back to us what they're seeing. We're looking for trends. We're looking for the equitable application of the policies. We're looking for information about numbers, about having hundreds of provisional ballots and yet only passing small percentages of those provisional ballots, things of that nature. And we're doing a couple of training programs this week for those who are interested in monitoring some of the canvassing activities on election day, after election day, and including some of the activities that move through the certification process. Next slide, please. I mentioned that NAACP has a problem resolution process. I will actually attempt to use my technology again and actually show you the form, but Karen, I may need your assistance with that as well. I want to show you how to report this issue to NAACP. I also want to explain what's happening right now as it relates to our command center. So every day from 10 until 7 p.m., our attorneys are staffing a command center, which allows your leadership to call in with issues that are impacting you. And it's important to use the hierarchy because we want to make sure that Leader Knoyton, that President Bailey knows about an issue that's happening in Chesapeake before you call us directly about something in Chesapeake, because they may already be working on it. But our attorneys are staffing that Zoom that you can just drop in on at any time from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day, including weekends. And we're doing this through Election Day. And then Election Day, it's 6 a.m. until midnight, because of course we have voters on the West Coast. So that is an opportunity to bring anything to an attorney whenever it rises to that occasion. At the same time, we are operating on the See Something, Say Something platform, and that's what this incident report is all about. So if you see something, we want you to be able to flag it in this form and then let us know what you're dealing with or what someone else has experienced so that we can work to resolve that issue. Next slide, please. So this is just a picture of the form, but I want to take a minute and actually walk through that to share the screen to show you how to go to naacp.org/vote, where you will find not only this incident reporting form, but it is a one-stop location for all of our voter information. So if you have questions about anything specific to the voting process, you'll be able to find that information on naacp.org/vote. Next slide. Okay. So that's all I wanted to share, and now I want to talk. I want to entertain your questions, your concerns. Karen, I can attempt to share my screen again, or at the appropriate time, if you go to naacp.org/vote, I can sort of walk you through all the things that are there. So
Stephanie, if you'd like, I already have it prompt and ready.
okay.
And I will share that and give you the opportunity to walk us through what that looks like. Again, everyone, you would go to naacp.org/vote.
Vote.
So this is a screen that you will see when you first go onto the landing page. If you scroll down just a little.
Oh, I can't scroll. Hold on, you all. Sorry.
That's okay.
My scroll wasn't scrolling.
What you're going to see is the ability to jump to a couple of different sections. So at the very top, it says jump to. If you were interested in key issues, because there's a lot of mis and disinformation that's out there. If you are interested in what is affecting Black communities, and this is based on hundreds of thousands of dollars that we have invested in polling and research. This is the information on the economy, on Project 2025. So there are people sometimes that will ask, why am I voting? What am I voting for? What is this all about? Specific to, how does it impact me? Here is factual information that you can share on the key issues about how it impacts you. So that line takes you directly to issues. You can also go directly to the toolkit. So we have an elections toolkit that will give you more information that you can share with others. But there's also a PDF. If you were putting together a social media post or some other information that you wanted to share, you would be able to download this toolkit, which includes the ability to download some of the social media posts that we've already crafted for you that you can modify for your own use. The other information, and if you want, you can just scroll down, Karen's. We'll stop here at your state's voter guide. So if you wanted to know specifically about who's on your ballot and what do they stand for, you will be able to click your state's voter guide. Virginia doesn't happen to be shown today because these states are related to some of the texting and calling that we happen to be doing this week. But this list does change. But to your left, underneath the broader topic, that's where all of the other state voter guides are located. If you continue to scroll, there's information about those who were impacted by the hurricane specifically, but it's how to vote after a natural disaster. So there's some information there. There were parts of Virginia that were impacted. You continue to scroll down, Karen, please. So again, registering to vote, verifying your registration status. These links will take you directly to pages that allow you to do those things. Further down, information on Project 2025. So if you have specific questions about the incredible harm to the Black community that Project 2025 would cause, there's information there. Further down, we will get to, oh, this one's really important. If you want to know in advance what's on your ballot. And this information is for everyone. So your cousin in Kansas that's asking questions, send her over here so that she can get information about Kansas. So this allows any voter to put in their information and see what's on their sample ballot. Further down. And here's the incident reporting form. So if you click on the blue bar, it takes you directly to this form that operates in real time, and it's asking you, where are you? What's going on? Tell us all about it. As soon as you finish entering your information, it goes directly to an attorney on our team. For those who are monitoring an election board, there are a couple of questions that we're asking there, but it's a very intuitive screen. It just asks you where you are and what you're doing and what's happening. And then that information comes to us. And we will reach out to you directly as we go on, move forward with resolving the issue. Thank you for that, Karen. It's incredibly important that when something happens, especially specific to your having been removed from a voting role, you're having to vote provisionally, or being asked to correct a mail ballot and that correction not be accepted, it's important for us to know who you are and why that happened to you. Elections, as we all know, can be won in the margins. The percentage of ballots that are not cured are typically, how do I want to frame this? Oftentimes ballots are not cured because people don't have the flexibility to stand in line for hours and vote and then come back to actually address an additional issue. And those that would not want to see us vote successfully know that. And so the goalposts have changed. Rather than making it more difficult to actually cast the ballot, the difficulty has now switched to the space of getting the ballot counted. So we wanted to make sure that we continue to encourage and empower every voter with the understanding of the value of their vote, the importance of their vote. There are many rules, many laws, many changes that have been made, but the one that has not been changed, they have not taken away your vote. It's still yours, and you still have the power to ensure that it's cast. And we want to provide information, additional information to make sure it's counted. So I don't know that there are questions in the Q&A, Karen, but you may have a series of questions or comments in the chat that we can talk through.
I know one of the questions that they had, someone had on here, that they wanted to see the slide that had what we need to, the things you need to look for.
The things you need to look.
Could we see the slide again? This came from Vicky Tolbert. Can we see the slide again that lists all the possible items to be watching out for?
Sure. Karen, do you mind sharing?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's slide number 2, where I just talked through the variety of issues. Additional questions or comments? Is there anything in particular that someone has experienced that you feel is something shareable that would benefit others?
Stephanie, can you explain? We have a question in the Q&A, and this is a really good question. Can you explain what it means to cure a ballot?
Sure. The curing of the ballot is fixing it. You have done something. Let's see if I have my, oh, you can't really see my handy dandy ballot here. I won't be able to show you a good example of it, but here in Florida, we have our actual ballot, and then we have the elements that we must sign, and then we have a special privacy secrecy sleeve that we can use to make sure that when someone opens the ballot, they can't actually see how we've voted. So if they had any issues or concerns about how we might have voted, they wouldn't treat our ballot differently. In some states,
Stephanie, is this for the absentee ballot you're talking about?
it's the absentee ballot.
Okay, that's what I make sure it's clear
Yeah.
about the absentee ballot,
Absentee
right?
ballot.
Okay, okay.
In Florida, as an example, you don't have to return your privacy ballot. That's not a problem. You don't have to cure that. You didn't use it, you didn't use it. But you do have to sign it, and you do have to add your 4 digits of your social security, which in Virginia is new for you, that you're adding your last 4 digits of your social security. So if you don't do that, they can't count your ballot. So you'll have to fix it. And they're required to tell you that it needs to be fixed and what exactly it was that you did that requires fixing, which is curing, and then give you the opportunity up until 12 noon, 3 days after the election, to provide that particular fix.
Okay.
There's a really, in Suffolk, I think it was Suffolk County, did a really nice video that I will find, I hope, as we are talking, and drop it in the chat.
Are you talking about surprise and Suffolk? And we got some surprise and Suffolk members on here too.
Yes, they did a really great video to
Okay.
talk about
Mhm.
the changes to the mail ballot and why it was so important to pay attention to that. So I will find the handy dandy Suffolk video because I've actually used that in a couple of trainings, and I will share that.
Can we get a copy of the slide presentation too?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay.
Hello,
Okay, great.
I'm Sean Stewart, Deputy Registrar for Absentee Voting here at the Fairfax County Office of Elections.
Great.
If you choose to vote by mail and request
I found it.
Okay, that's
I
that's
was
in
gonna say,
Fairfax.
if you're
That's in
trying to
Fairfax
show
in
it,
Northern
Fairfax.
Virginia. Yeah,
That's Fairfax. Never mind, it's
Uh-huh.
Fairfax.
That's
It's
okay.
But yes, I will share that, a whole video talking about the ballot and the curing process.
So some of the confusion is when poll watchers, and there's a question that's showing, as a first-time poll watchers, are we supposed to be inside or outside? I was told that my area does not allow poll watchers inside unless we have a signed document.
Poll watchers in Virginia are required to be assigned by parties and initiatives and others to be inside, to watch inside. Poll monitors are outside during the voting process. During the ballot canvassing process, there are elements of canvassing that are public. They're like public meetings. And there are areas for people to observe the canvassing process. But to actually be inside and be a watcher, you have to be a part of. You have to be.
Can you explain what Canvas is?
Yes, yes.
And I think, you know what, I think we should have like a glossary.
Right. You are exactly right.
I think we had to have a glossary and we put all these things together because everybody's new and it's kind of confusing. And if we could, because you're usually talking about curing the ballot. Now we talking about canvassing, poll watchers, poll monitors. I think we need some kind of a glossary. I think that will help a lot.
Not only that, we need some legislative changes so that there's some standardization of
Exactly. I
the
agree.
work going across. But that's a post January 20th issue.
Yeah, conversation. Yeah.
So canvassing a ballot, not to be confused with canvassing a voter to cast a ballot. So I think most people are familiar with canvassing neighborhoods and knocking on doors and trying to get people to get out the vote. What I am talking about specific to election boards meet to determine when a ballot isn't cast properly. They meet to then determine, well, should this ballot be counted? And there are basic mistakes that people make all the time. They get married, they change their name, they move from one county to another and the electronic poll book is down. Things happen. And most states, Virginia is one of them, gives you the opportunity to fix whatever is wrong with your ballot. And the opportunity to fix that happens under a process called ballot canvassing. So the election boards meet to review these ballots that are out of the ordinary. And they call that process of reviewing them, they call it canvassing them, to then see if they're going to count them or not. So it's the canvassing ballot process as part of an elections board. And you're canvassing the ballots that are incorrect, that someone fixed, that someone cured, to
Right.
then
And let me,
whether or
right.
not they can be counted.
And let me just say this, everyone should have their registrars on speed dial. And you can ask your registrar when will canvassing start. They'll tell you when they're going to start. But usually you don't, because they ain't going to volunteer the information. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. But you can ask, when is the canvassing going to start? Remember, if they come to the poll and they have no ID, they have none of the acceptable IDs or whatever, they still can vote by provisional ballot. And then they have until Friday to produce that ID, 3 days after the election. And then that's when they'll be going through everything there. But you can ask, when are you going to start looking? Sometimes they start the day after. They may start Wednesday or they might start Thursday, and Thursday and Friday. But everyone should know canvassing dates. And you ask your registrar and stay on top of that, because this is really important.
You can also check their website because it's a public
Mhm.
meeting, so they have to give notice. So you should also see it posted on their websites.
That may not always happen though, but yeah. I'm just telling you, you gotta call them too. Yeah, that's great. Do we have any other questions in here? Um, mm, um, is it too late for someone, and this is somebody had texted me this. Is it too late for someone to sign up to become an election officer? I guess it depends on the area. Somebody
It
text me the information.
really, I would call the area that you live in and ask, because election workers, the number of election workers has decreased significantly. And so they are definitely still looking for support.
Yes, we definitely got to make sure that, we have good people, who are not afraid to speak up inside these election polls. Because as Stephanie said, it used to be voter suppression on the outside, the scare of it. They have a organized plan on the inside of the polls, and so we have to make sure that people on the inside are watching it. So if you still could be an election officer, call your registrar and see if you can still sign up. These are paid positions too, so see if you can still find to do that. When is the training to learn how to canvass?
That training is Tuesday. And I should be able to drop that in the chat.
Yeah, and everyone should receive emails from National on this voter protection training that's going to be coming up. And if you didn't, we'll include this in the recap. You'll have it in the recap as well. But you if you got Gmail, check your updates. It may not be right in your email, it could be in your updates, whatever. So just check your emails, make sure you have it, but we'll put the link in there as well.
Tomorrow night, I am doing an entire hour on ballot curing, an entire hour on. Oh, no, that's not true. On ballot purges, on challenges and purges. I'm going to add a little bit though about curing because they're all related. So that's tomorrow on the 28th,
And what time is that going to be?
8 p.m.
And it's open to everyone?
Open to everyone.
Oh, can you send that to us too?
I will.
Okay.
We will include those training dates and how to register in the follow-up that everyone will.
I will send those to you.
Please clarify, NAACP can have political observers as do the political parties? No.
No, we are nonpartisan. We do not have political observers.
And they only allow partisan representatives from each party inside the polls. So you couldn't have an NAACP poll monitor inside the poll. I mean, yeah, poll.
Correct.
Well, you got me covered. Got me going.
Watcher.
Yeah, poll watcher inside
Right.
poll. See, that's what I'm saying. We need a glossary.
Right.
Right, inside. So we're gonna be outside. And let me just say this. You have a lot of people that will come outside and they'll walk away unless they know it's somebody there. I think we need to look at some kind of a sticker or somebody so people will know you have some kind of NAACP. You can wear your NAACP shirt. You can wear the shirts that we just got. You know that you see. Everybody should have ordered shirts, but we should have people out there with shirts on so they can come up and they can say, you know, I had an incident inside the polls, and this is what it is. Because unless we have names and numbers, and you know, and these incidents, it's gonna be hard for us to really, because we'll be in a boiler room like all day, different boiler rooms all day on November the 5th. But unless we have names and numbers of folks, you just can't say, well, so and so went to the polls and she got turned away, and you don't have her name or number or anything like that, because we can follow up and add that to you know, add it to a bucket basically of other people that have it, so we can see the trend, and if something needs to happen, you know, we can contact the registrar as well.
We recently lost a lawsuit in Florida for that exact reason when we asked the state to extend voter registration. Voter registration deadline was the first day of mandatory evacuation. And the judge felt like people could just, I don't know, get online and register as they were leaving their homes, but he forgot that some of the systems were down, and so we didn't have actual people that we were able to point to. I think if I was going to be repetitive tonight and just mention something again, it would be the importance of voting no matter what. There's no excuse that you cannot at least cast a provisional ballot. And if you do cast a provisional ballot, that's reason number one to let us know that that happened to you. Because for the most part, unless you really simply weren't registered, which is hard to do in Virginia, you should be able to vote a regular ballot. So if you're getting pushback for whatever reason, and the reasons are varied. I was on a call on a call on Friday where someone in South Carolina was turned away from the polls because they had on a green shirt with pink chucks on their shirt and they were wearing pearls. And someone told them that they were dressed in political paraphernalia, which was not correct. But they walked away and they didn't vote.
Somebody have a question. How dire is voting situation in Virginia? Hearing a lot of stories, increasing poll watchers, 200,000 on the other side. I can just tell you from what we know, this is everywhere and it's in Virginia. It's everywhere and in Virginia. So it's dire everywhere. We're not taking anything for granted. And these stories, we need to know these stories. And that's why we went over the portal on how to do an incident report. You got 866-hour vote. Is that 24 hours, Stephanie?
Yes.
It's 24
it's not
hours.
24 hours live, but it's 24. You can call at any time and leave your information. Yes.
Right. Right. So 24 hours, you can call at any time and do it and do it so we can put that out there. But it's everywhere, and we do need good people, strong people to be on the inside of the polls that have a watchful eye to what's going on inside of it. We've been talking about this for the last year, telling everybody get inside the polls, work inside the polls. So we're beginning to see that, see that, and so we've got all. I think we've answered all the questions.
Yeah.
I think we're going to follow up, and then I'm going to turn it over because I know that Stephen is on here too. And we'll follow up with all of this information. Please, please be on Stephanie's call. Look, we can never do this enough, right? So be on Stephanie's Zoom tomorrow. She's going to be talking more about this. National is going to have it. Yes, tonight is recorded. You'll begin a recording of this as well. But as much as of this voter protection that NAACP is doing, please be on it so that we can all be aware and trained and ready to go. As a poll observer, are we sitting down or walking around assigned to a certain area in the polling location? You basically need you look. When someone comes in, I know when I was a poll watcher, and I have my NAACP shirt on, when people came up, I said, "Thank you for coming to vote." And they saw what I had on, so I would walk up and talk to folks as they go in to vote or whatever. But if you got to sit down and have a chair and sit down yeah, you can do that, but just be active because you got to know what's going on. You have to know what's going on. If you're just going to be sitting in a chair all day and sitting on a chair and not walking around talking to people, you'd be surprised information that you might get from other poll watchers, or some people might be volunteering some information that they shouldn't be volunteering. I mean, just telling you. But you got to talk to people so you can get an idea of what the landscape is going on in your area. So I would say just be interactive there. You do have the 40-foot row rule. You can't go up to a voter outside of 40 feet to the door. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that as well. So thank you, Stephanie. You are great. Stay on just in case. We might have some more questions jump in the chat or in the Q&A, and then we could go ahead and answer that. They said someone just put in there is a federal voting civil rights division. Oh yeah, where you can invite voter fraud as well too. But we really need to know. You can do it there, but you have to realize we have the Office of General Counsel that's connected to all these federal offices and stuff. And if you just skip over to NAACP and you go straight to them, they only gonna come back and say, let us know, because we're gonna ask. So you please go through this process that you're learning right now, because then the Office of General Counsel can't escalate it. So just don't jump straight to them, because then we won't know what's going on. When the registrar takes time and call the voter about coming to fix errors and the voter does not respond, is that the voter's fault? So the registrar will send out a notice and they'll call. They have several different ways, but this is the reason why curing ballots are important, because there are lists out here that who has not turned in their ballots yet, or could have an issue with that. There's a list that you can get for that as well. So have a relationship with your registrar, and then because ballot curing is key. Ballot canvassing is going to be two key. These are two key things that's going to be so important in this election. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Miller Pitts, our voter civic engagement director, and he's going to give us some items to look for.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing this evening? I will not be before you long. I do see a question in the chat that I want to address. I'm Stephen Miller Pitts, the Civic Engagement Director for this election cycle. I appreciate everybody getting on for this important election protection call this evening. It's a lot of different moving parts, so we wanted to make sure we provide that clarity. All things, get out the vote. I'm grateful to see everybody that put in the chat that they voted already. So now we need you to volunteer. So we'll be doing. Last Wednesday, I conducted a virtual text and phone bank. And so we'll be doing another one or two this week. So please look out for that information. Join us. The text and phone bank, some Black voters in Virginia, so we can ensure that we continue to get out the vote and get everybody's voice in their vote casted at the ballot. I did want to say the discuss same day voter registration. You have the ability to register to vote in person and immediately vote a provisional ballot because the deadline to register to vote has passed. And so it's basically you'll be casting a provisional ballot once you register to vote. And so those are some of the things we have. I know a lot of units have been doing activations, canvassing, phone banking, text banking. We have about 8 days of work left where we need to leave it all on the playing field. So please, please, branches, conduct your canvas, conduct your phone bank, conduct your text bank, join the phone bank and the text bank that we'll be having this week. We need everybody to go out there and exercise their right to vote at the ballot box because so many issues are on the ballot and we have enough time to affect enough change so the message can be sent to what the people want in our communities. So any questions that you might have, please put them in the chat. But that is all I have for this evening. Please sign up to volunteer to contact voters or sign up to work the election day as a poll worker in or outside. Some of those positions are paid positions, so you still have opportunities across the Commonwealth. And I'll turn it back over to Galen.
So some of the questions that you're doing phone banks. Are you still doing text messaging and phone banks on certain days? People are asking to volunteer for that. So what's your schedule?
Yeah, so I'm gonna work with Karen, but I believe most likely we should be able to have another text and phone bank this upcoming Wednesday from 6 to 8, the same hours that we did last week. Majority of the people that registered decided they wanted to text. It takes about a few minutes for you to get acclimated in the hustle system. And you just keep clicking the button and you send all the text. We were able to do this last week with about 40 or so individuals. We got through about 16,000 text messages. And so we have a robust list that I want to get through the list. So please sign up for this Wednesday to text message. And once you're in the system, you can periodically go ahead and text message on your own, your leisure. You don't have to just do the 2 hours that I'm going to conduct on Wednesday, but please do that. And I'll be setting up another phone bank on Wednesday also.
Yeah, this is great. As we said, we got like a little over 10 days now and 9 days now, really, because the day is over. But we should be doing something every single day. So once he sends these links out, you can text message. You can have a text message party. You can invite your neighbors over, your friends over, your family. Y'all could be texting together, having a party. And you have the virtual phone banks as well. You can do that on your own. And this is the do something phase that we're in right now. We have to do something every day. So if you just take a couple of hours every day to do it, fine. Look, we got 9 days to save democracy. Because if we don't, as I said before, this is also not only about, economics, it's not only about civil rights. I mean, this is about criminal justice. And I can't reiterate, and I'll say it again, is that, last month we saw a public lynching with Marcellus Williams. And his accusers came out a few days earlier and said they lied. Had more people came out in 2016, he would be alive today. The presidents choose Supreme Court justices and federal judges, and these are lifetime positions. And you have to realize that if a certain candidate, because we know we are nonpartisan but political as hell. Nonpartisan, if a certain person get in as president, then what's going to happen is that you'll have Justice Alito and Justice Thomas resign and put in younger justices in there, right? Same with federal judges. And it will take us back almost 30 years for us to even look at some form of normalcy in our criminal justice area, voting rights area, all of that. This is so much is on the line. So please, let's do something. Rise to the polls. Everybody's been asking me about rise to the polls. Yes, you can start your own rise to the polls on there. And we'll get more information on that too, because there's other organizations that's out here that's looking to do rise to the polls. But you have to be in the grocery store line, when you in the restaurant, you need to be asking everybody, are you registered to vote and have you voted? This Saturday is the last day of early vote. I know the numbers are going up and up and up, higher every single day. You know, this last Saturday was off the charts. You know, and people going out to vote, and it's going to happen this Saturday too. I mean, this whole week, the numbers are going to go up. So we have to make sure that we get our folks out in record numbers. Please get our folks out.
Galen, I see one of the questions asked about you received the names of the list to reach out to people in the script. So I'll make sure hopefully Karen, if you help in the election toolkit, there is a script in there for text messages. So you can take the script and plug and play with the names that you received in the text message, or you can curate it to personalize it how you want to. But the script is in the election toolkit.
And let me just clear again. You know, if you work to be inside, you have to be affiliated with a political party to work inside the polls. On the outside, you don't. You know, so just make sure that we're clear on that particular piece. But this is so important. Stephanie, I want to thank you for being on. You're a wealth of information and definitely a fighter for the grassroots. You know, so we really appreciate your work that you do. And Stephen, thank you too, and Karen. And I'm going to turn it over to our president to close us out.
Thank you, Galen. And thank you, Stephanie, for the great presentation. Thank you, Stephen, for the great information that you provided. You know, in close, there's a lot that's been said tonight, but in closing, I want to remind us all that the repression methods and the repression weapons are numerous, but so are our protections. You have heard over the past hour or so a variety of things that we have to watch out for. But the most important thing is to be knowledgeable that there are forces out there who would rather that we, as social justice warriors, we as Black people and all the people that we represent would not vote. They would prefer that our voices not be heard. We have fought too long and hard for that to happen. And that's why we've equipped you once again with these tools this evening. Utilize them, study the information, be diligent, do the volunteer work that we've done in the past, and let us continue to march forward as we, the NAACP, do the work that we have been ordained to do. Thank you all very much and have a great evening.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.